Hello and welcome to the first of a series of 4 videos where I'm just going to be sharing my 20 top tips for 2020. I have to be careful to say that's a bit of a tongue twister. 20 top tips for 2020. They're broken down into 4 videos because there's kind of 4 key themes that I want to look at, with 5 of my top tips in each of those themes. So the first one, which is this video, which is my 5 top tips for how you approach food in 2020. Food is a major part of our life, isn't it? And if we're not careful, it can really start to control us rather than us having control over our food. So here's my top 5 things just to focus on over 2020 to help you live a more balanced life when looking at food. My number 1 tip, and the thing that I say to all my clients first off, is make sure you're drinking enough water. Honestly, this is the best thing you can start to do. If it's one habit that you develop this month, it's to drink more water. I don't know whether you know this, but you can calculate how much your body needs in terms of water based upon your weight. So you take your weight in pounds. So if you were 180 pounds, you divide it by 2, which that would be what? 90, and that would be how many ounces of water that you need to drink, which is approximately 2 litres. So depending obviously upon how much exercise you're doing, so how much kind of water you're burning off, whether you live in a hotter climate, whether you're in a colder climate, your own body's metabolism, whether you're male or female, this will vary slightly, but a good aim is around the kind of 2 litre mark, or to calculate it based upon your weight. Okay, and this is about drinking water, not drinking tea and coffee and sodas and fizzy drinks. I'm talking about pure water. Because if you aim for 2 litres, so if you have a bottle like this and you just keep refilling that, so you can calculate and know how much you're drinking a day and spread it out throughout the day. If you're then drinking teas and coffees and other things on top of that, that's all adding value, isn't it? And you're also then not calculating and using caffeinated drinks as part of your water intake, because they don't count. Okay, so number 1, drink more water. Number 2 is to fall in love with vegetables. Okay, so there's a general rule of thumb. It's been around for decades, and that's to look at your food plate and to fill half of it with vegetables. It is so easy when you're looking at just a calorie controlled diet or something like that to not think about the balance of foods on your plate and to fill it full of one particular food group, such as carbs or proteins or whatever. Your body needs a whole range of different what we call macronutrients, so different food groups. That's your veggies, your fruits, your carbs, your healthy fats, your nuts, your butters, your protein, and you need to make sure that you're having the right balance. That's more complicated. I'm here to help with that if you're interested, so get in touch with me. But as a rule of thumb, first is fall in love with your vegetables. Fill half of your plate with your nice leafy green vegetables. I'm not talking necessarily about all of the kind of the carb-laden vegetables like potatoes and parsnips and carrots and peas, but some of your leafy green vegetables. They're absolutely fabulous for your body. They're full of antioxidants and all sorts of other things, as well as great nutrients that give your body all the power that it needs to get through the day. Okay, so fall in love with your vegetables. Thirdly, is to know what your body actually needs. So I briefly touched on that in the previous point about the macronutrients, but actually know how much your body needs. Majority of us, if we're not paying attention to that, usually, especially in the wintertime, fall into the trap of eating far too many carbohydrates. And that's partly because our body is craving it because it's cold and it's trying to store the fats. But we're not then having the active lifestyle that's needed to have those carbs. So our bodies are designed for that, to then be out there and hunting and gathering and all the rest of it. We live very desk-based, very home-based lives. And if you're not burning off the carbs that you're putting in, then you don't need as many carbs as what you may be tempted to take in. Okay, and we also often don't eat enough protein, enough lean proteins and a variety of different protein sources. I try and have protein with every single one of my meals, and that always helps. So the 4th thing, my 4th tip for how to approach food in 2020 is to not restrict yourself or go on any excessively restricting diets, to not limit yourself too much. So this time last year, I went on a strict diet where I was eliminating certain food groups from my diet. And whilst I was able to maintain that, I've got a pretty strong willpower, and whilst I was still seeing results, I was able to maintain that. But it was hard work, and it was very antisocial. But there came a point where my metabolism slowed right down because of what I was doing, and I didn't have the energy to be adding exercise in to be able to then boosting my metabolic rate back up again. And there was my danger zone. Now, fortunately, I was blessed to have a community that I could turn to, and a new kind of program that would add back in those food groups that I'd taken out of my diet slowly. And now I don't restrict myself on anything when it comes to food groups. So I have all my carbs and my protein. I might choose to focus on particular carbohydrates that I know give them the most bang for my buck. And that's partly because I have polycystic ovaries, and my body does react like a pre-diabetic state when it comes to carbohydrates. So I crave carbs as soon as I have some carbs, so I have to be careful. But I'm not on a diet that restricts. And actually, I say to my kids, I'm not on a diet. I can eat whatever I like. I might choose not to eat certain foods because I know what my body needs to fuel me, and I know what makes me feel good physically and mentally. I know I have experienced how good it feels to be eating healthily, and so I don't want to eat unhealthily. And in fact, over the Christmas period, I have eaten more of the kind of processed stuff than I would have done in the past year, and I can feel it. Okay. But I'm not on a diet. I've not got a diet that's saying you cannot eat these certain things, because as soon as you do that, you then have that kind of rebound effect as soon as your willpower leaves you. And it will leave you at some point, when things get tough, when the weather turns horrible, when you have some pressures and some stresses, when there's no food in the cupboard, you will have that rebound effect. So that's my fourth thing, is to not restrict yourself or limit yourself on any severe kind of restriction diets. You can eat anything, but it's about knowing what is healthy for your body to eat. And my fifth thing kind of ties in with all of that, about knowing what your body needs and about not restricting yourself. In that, whilst I say don't restrict and limit yourself, there is one thing that I do say you've got to be really careful about, and that is looking at the amount of refined sugar that you're taking into your body. So this is my fifth point, is to limit your refined sugar. Refined sugar is the real processed white sugars that are often used in ingredients, in products, and obviously the white sugar that you're putting into your tea or onto your cereal or whatever. There are so many better alternatives out there in terms of sweetness, and there's some of your kind of artificial sweeteners. There are some healthy artificial sweeteners. There are all the kind of the healthier sugars like honey. So the kind of the natural sugars that you find in nature. Honey, pure maple, stevia. There are just so many, monk fruit sugar. Even things like raw cane sugar or coconut sugar are better than just looking at the processed refined sugars. When clients come to me and they say, how can I lose weight? One of the biggest things that I say to them, aside from drinking water, eating enough protein, reducing your carbs, is to look at the amount of sugar that you're taking in without even realising it. So on the back of ingredients labels, you always need to be looking, when you're looking at processed foods, for how high up the list you have sugars and other artificial sweeteners in there. If I don't know whether you know this, but on the back in your ingredients, the higher up on the list or the earlier on the list of the ingredients an item is, that's how much more there is of it. So if sugar is listed sort of 2 or 3 ingredients in on the list, you can bet that there's a lot of sugar in that, and it is in so many different things. It's incredible how much sugar is put into our diets without us even realising it. If we are buying sort of processed foods, if we're buying packaged meats, if we're buying yogurts, kids yogurts, all these kind of things, they've all got sugar added. And so even without realising it, you could be taking in an awful lot of sugar into your diet. Aside from kind of reducing processed foods and eating as whole as possible, so making stuff from scratch, which I can appreciate isn't always possible, it's about looking and being aware of the ingredients that are in the foods that you're choosing to buy, and reducing that refined sugar. I've eaten more of that refined sugar than I have for a very long time over this Christmas, and I am feeling it. So my headaches have returned. I am not sleeping as well at night time. I'm waking up multiple times in the night. My muscles and stuff are all hurting more than normal. I'm feeling more sluggish. I'm obviously bloated and put on kind of flabbiness around kind of the waist area, and they are all classic things that is because of the sugar that I'm eating, plus all the, you know, the other stuff and whatever, and not sleeping as well maybe and all the rest of it, but refined sugar. So that's my top 5 tips when it comes to looking at how you approach food in 2020 to help you have the most balanced and brilliant year with your food. I'll recap them. It's drinking enough water, drinking more water. It's falling in love with your vegetables, having half of your kind of serving of each of your meals as vegetables, the leafy green ones the best. 3 is knowing what your body needs, so making sure you're getting that right balance, and 4 is not restricting yourself or limiting yourself on some of the key nutrients and things that your body needs, not going on silly crash diets. And number 5 is, whilst saying not restricting yourself, do look at restricting and limiting how much refined sugar you put in your body, and look for alternative substitutes. If you liked the look of any of that and you are keen to know more, want to dig into it, but know that you need some help, I run regular boot camps where we have a sort of what I call a kickstart boot camp. It's only 3 weeks long. It's online, so it can be done anywhere in the world. And we look at kind of our relationship with food. We look at how to meal plan, nutritional plans, all this kind of things to help you around food. And getting a better relationship with it, knowing what your body needs. So if you would like to be part of any one of those, then please do let me know. It's free for the first 2 weeks for you to try, and it doesn't break the bank for that 3rd week, and actually rolls you into the next 3 months of time with me. So if you'd like to look at that, then please get in touch. I would love to help you to learn what your body needs for your fuel and for your enjoyment when it comes to food.